he was like, man, I binged your channel and I watched like 13 episodes in one night and I decided that I wanted to. Sorry, God.
I'm just trying to.
He's like, man, I want to have, I decided not to get an abortion. Like, and I want to thank you because my daughter's 2 years old.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Melanin.
And I'm Beleaf Mel.
And we're here with episode 84 of How Married Are You?
My name Beleaf. This is Yvette, and we've been married 9 years. We live in California, and we have 4 kids. Relationships are scary, very necessary. That we share all of our struggles, and we ask,
How married are you?
Every Tuesday and Thursday, shawty. If you listen and you're in a wedding party, sometimes it's deep, sometimes lighthearted. And I don't know what else to say, so it's time to get it started. Look.
It's chocolate baby story time.
Chocolate baby story time.
It's chocolate baby story time.
1, 2, 3, and
It's chocolate baby story time.
yep.
I'm going to go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my chocolate baby story time has to do with my child, Uriah Bow.
Okay.
This morning I was working out and you know, I was doing like my own what's it called?
Hit exercise. Mm-hmm.
And I was doing like these different exercises, and at one point, I don't remember which exercise I was doing in particular, but I was struggling. I was like breathing and all the things. And then Raya goes, "Mom, what's so hard about that?" And I was like, ugh. I didn't even respond. I just looked at him like, boy, you come over here and do this. But then he got in trouble with his dad, and his dad made him do a plank. And he was he like started to cry almost.
No, he was crying.
He was crying. I didn't see him. I just heard him. And I wanted to come around the corner and be like, Raya, what's so hard about that? But I didn't.
Yeah, that would have been very childish of you.
I held back. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to add to yours and I'll add my own.
Okay.
But Uriah, you know, I think all our kids feel like they're a little bit above the rules or above the law. You know, they're, especially with you, I think they can get away with a lot of crap. And so it's like quiet time. And so that means that they stay in their room. And Theo was like, looked down the stairs. He was like, and I heard him open the door and I'm like, why are you coming out of your room? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you need? Like, he's not going to the bathroom. He's like, well, where's Raya? I'm like, where is he? And then I was like, Raya. He goes, and I hear from like downstairs, but Dad, I need to get a toy.
It always starts, but Dad,
yeah,
but Mom.
So I was like, come over here. And he thought I was going to like pop him. And I was just like, all right, man, get in the plank position. And I gave him 2-minute planks. Ooh, 2-minute plank. And I needed him to understand that you need to stay upstairs, man. Mm-hmm. Like there's not a toy that brings you out of your room because you need it. Yeah. It's quiet time. That means, well, we're doing this right now because it's quiet time.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So my chocolate baby story time is Uzi. It's just something that he does, right? He wakes up and he's always like trying to pretend that he got something to do. You ever notice that? Like he'll wake up and then like start like just grabbing for stuff and looking for stuff, and it's just so cute. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, man, go back to sleep. Every single time he always says something. He'll wake up and go,
yes.
Anyway,
I love him.
Let's hop into this topic.
Okay, so today we wanted to talk about Glen and I were having a conversation last night, and he said something, and it reminded me of something else that I have been thinking about. And he goes, focus on what you can control. And everything that he said alongside that.
No, that's not what I said.
You said focus.
I said I only focus on what I can control.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't saying it like you were saying it to me as a command.
That's what it sounded like.
Okay, guys. He didn't say it to me as a command. He was just saying it in general. He's saying that is something that he tries to practice. The reason he was saying this to me is because I have, I'm not going to go there. Don't worry. Anyway, so the reason he said this to me is because I was sharing with him all the different things that have been on my heart and mind. There comes a point in my life sometimes where I'm listening to this podcast and that podcast and reading this article and watching this documentary series, and it's just so much information thrown at me at the same time. And I'm doing that right now while in the middle of a pandemic, and so it's just kind of like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, I'm overwhelmed with information, and I'm one of those people who's like, okay, now I have this information and I'm responsible for it. So what do I do with it?
What do I do? And
I felt like Glenn kind of helped to kind of calm my nerves a little bit last night, a little bit. Because I'm still kind of like, what in the world? I don't know what the best course of action is. And there's this one podcast that is titled The Next Right Thing. And a lot of times I think about that phrase because it's kind of like, you do just have to do the next right thing. Like, we can't focus on doing all the things. We can only focus on doing the next right thing. But anyway, so I kind of wanted to just maybe regurgitate the same conversation, not the exact same conversation, but just really,
I don't mind if we kind of touch on it,
okay.
Right? You know, so.
The reason we're so nervous to talk about this is because it has to do with vaccinations. And vaccinations, like even just now, like I think I had a reaction inside because I know that somebody is going to come at us with all the things. But I mean, I don't think it's important about, actually it is very important, vaccination. It's an important conversation that people should have freely. Yes. Without judgment or whatever. Or without like the fear of being attacked, which is what I have, to be honest with you. Like, I don't really like to talk about that publicly just because we do have a large platform, and I feel like that's kind of one of those things where it's like, Yeah. But however, I think it's very important for people to make informed decisions and not ignorant decisions. Ooh, maybe that was too strong of a word, but. I mean, like, you know, I think people should do the research on whatever they choose to do. You know what I mean? Like, you have to kind of measure the good and the bad. You know, there's not one thing that is completely good for you, you know, and it's not things that are completely bad for you. But I think you have to weigh the good and the bad. And I think we had an experience that, specifically, I had an experience after we vaccinated Uriah, like immediately after he was a different child. It was early on. I want to say he was within the first year, and it was like, okay, Ryan has a doctor's appointment, make sure you go get him. And I'm always kind of like asking, like, hey, why does he need this and why does he need that? I'm just curious. And then once we got one of the vaccinations, I'm not sure which one it was, because I just was like, what is wrong with my child? Like, he was so lethargic and like just like whatever. And I called some pediatricians that I know who are close friends of mine, and they were like, yeah, this is just kind of a side effect. But his speech became slower, and it was like, I don't really feel like he progressed the same. And I was like, I'm cool on this. You know what I'm saying? And it just got me even more curious, and I started asking more questions and why, you know what I mean? And one of them was like, yeah, just in case your child has, like, you know, a blood transfusion, or, you know, they have like a sexual transmitted. I'm like, why would my child have a sexually transmitted disease? You know what I'm saying? So it was like a lot of stuff, and I just was like, I'm cool on that. And so I think there's a lot of stuff happening because now they're coming up with the coronavirus vaccination. They're trying to make it or whatever. And this is stuff that we have not super researched, but these are the conversations that's being had in different groups. So if you're a genius on this, then feel free to spread, you know, your information. But, you know, just understand some people are not going to understand what you're talking about or listen, you know. And so I'm not big on trying to force people to believe on what I believe. I just don't think that is the right way to do anything, ministry or whatever. But it is certain conversations we've been having that have like just allowed us to think bigger and more like long term, you know. So Yvette is really excited because
we finally got one of our kids in a school that is like, oh my gosh, we love this school and this and this and
It's
this.
like it's a homeschool charter. So
Yeah.
it's basically a hybrid model of homeschool where they would be home with me 3 days a week and then 2 days a week they would be in class. So Raya got in and Theo's on the wait list. But as a result of this, because they're going to be in community with other kids,
They have to get vaccinated.
They have to get vaccinated. And so I've been having this
Well, they already are vaccinated.
So the kids are partially vaccinated.
Yeah.
So once we got to a point where we were like, okay, yeah, this isn't for us, we just kind of were like, no.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons is just there's varying levels of vaccination. So there's people who believe like you got to get all the vaccinations. Then there's people who believe vaccinations are okay, but some of the vaccinations are not necessary. And then there are others who believe we have to change the schedule of when certain vaccinations are given to their children. And then other people are just completely anti-vaccinations. And so for me, I feel like we're somewhere between like monitoring which ones they get and not giving them. Because Uzi and Anaya are not vaccinated. But we're somewhere between, schedules. Monitoring the schedule of the vaccinations and which vaccinations are necessary and which ones are not. And so with that being said, I was willing to, since the boys already had most of the vaccinations, in order to get into school, they had to take I think it was 4 more vaccinations that they needed. And so anyways, last night I was watching this documentary series about vaccinations, and it was really disturbing to me the effects that I was hearing about for Black males specifically. And some of the things that they mentioned as that were side effects of Black males, I was talking to Glenn, I was like, I've already seen this in Theophilus, in our child. I feel like we went through this one experience as a result of vaccinations. And then I'm thinking toward the future and I'm like, man, I was extremely excited that the boys that Raya got in and Theo's on the wait list to this charter school. And I was like, it's like something I've been looking forward to all year since 2020 happened. I'm like,
and anytime I've kind of been like, yeah, well, I don't really know about that. Well, you don't want me to be free? That's how you respond.
That is not the way I respond. But basically, it's like with 4 kids and homeschooling, and then you got 2 who are 3 and under. It's rough, y'all. So just that little break, it was just giving me hope. It helped me push through my current homeschool days. And so now I got all this information. I'm seeing the side effects of vaccinations. I'm seeing how much is still unknown. I'm also thinking about the fact that they're probably going to have some kind of something for this coronavirus coming up as well. And the thing about it is that they're not really testing. Never mind, I don't want to get into that. But so I'm like, okay, is it completely selfish of me to put the kids in this charter school for my own sanity and well-being, but potentially poisoning them at the same time? That's guilt. That's the internal battle that I'm having. It's do I move forward with this? And then the sad part about it is I already told their current homeschool charter that they're not returning next year. So I'm like, oh man, do I go back and be like, hey, actually I want to stay? How does this work? It's just a thing right now where I'm overwhelmed somewhat. And then the thing is too, y'all, just because they tell us we can go outside doesn't mean that the virus is gone. So I'm also thinking about life after this day, the life after this quarantine is over. Am I going to be able, for me, I already know I'm not going to want to go back to parkour or to music class, in closed spaces with people. How do we resume to normal after this?
Yeah.
And so anyway, Glenn said that he was like, babe, I just like to focus on what I can control. And he said a bunch of other stuff too that really helped to settle my spirit in that moment. But now that I'm regurgitating it all, I'm just I'm still stressed out. So babe, speak to me and others like me.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. Like, I mean, there's total conspiracies, right, on a lot of this stuff. And I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, right? I just be like, man, that's crazy. Like, that's like my blanket answer.
You're not a conspiracy theorist, but you're low key as conspiracy theorist, babe.
No, I mean, what do you mean?
Babe, sometimes you be bringing stuff up and I'm like,
Yeah, but I'm not. But okay, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Kind of like, man, there's probably someone controlling this situation. This is happening on purpose. Okay, give us an example.
No. I wasn't going to give you an example. I was just going to come back and say, to your defense, you are a realistic conspiracy theorist. Because I feel like a lot of the things that you say or bring up actually do come... They're like real concerns. They're like legitimate things that I should have been concerned about. I'm always late to the party. Glen's always like 10 years ahead of me.
I don't think you're late to the party. You are just like, I don't think anybody would really want to hurt us. I don't think anybody, like, you're just naive. Like, if I call the police, they'll come and save us. Like, you believe that. And I believe that is a lie. I don't believe that calling the police is going to help. I don't believe that. So like, that's where you and I'm like, maybe you haven't seen enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I have relationships that's kind of like, hey, this is going to happen. I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. This is I know it's a conspiracy to everyone else because they don't see it, but I've experienced it. So I know, sorry, you got the window open. You hear a dog. Yeah. So like, I've experienced it and I know that this is probably going to happen. And then you'll be like, dang, that did happen. But I can't make you believe that. You know what I'm saying? And like I can't make people believe like the truth what I think is the truth, because it's not the truth to them, you know? So I'm in a space where I'm like, I can only control myself, my thoughts. Someone asked me, oh man, this is so good. Someone asked me the other day on Instagram, They asked me a really cool question, and Yvette got the same question, and she didn't respond the same.
No, I did. I responded. Do you want to hear what my response was?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I want you to read the question and the response, because I feel like that's even a really good conversation to have.
Okay, this is Sharice. I think Sharice is actually a Patreon, right?
Yeah.
She said, hey, what values would you like to pass on to the chocolate babies?
Yeah. And that was a loaded question. So the question, would you want to say your...
I'm curious. I know we didn't even say our own answers. Go ahead. You say your answer.
Okay. So what values would you like to pass on to the chocolate babies? Pursuing joy as a right. Patience as if it's a lesson. Stewardship over mind, body, and money. Learning to listen to God. Self-discipline, self-defense, breath work, etc. Like I could have went on and on and on, but I was like, I don't know. Like where, what
Those
the point of
really
this question is. You want to say yours?
Okay, sure. I said, that's a loaded question. To name a few: integrity, compassion, genuineness, courage, self-control, faith, wisdom, discernment. The bottom line is I want them to love God, love themselves, and love people in the realest way possible.
Right. So those are really good. So it's like, but all those things mostly focus on yourself, right? So the only thing that we can control, is what we do with our time, what we do with our energy, what we do with our money, who we let in our circle, where we take our bodies, who we allow into our bodies, like all those things are things we can control. And what's happening with the pandemic, I cannot control. How people are reacting to it, I cannot control. What the president says, I cannot control. You know what I mean? Now, though I find a lot of those things, I take everything as like, I'm very, like, I pretty much am informed, right? But mostly I'm informed by, what like the news is saying or what the feed is saying or Twitter or whatever. If I hear something from somebody who I don't usually listen to and I hear them I'm very like, who I don't really know to be in the know, right? They're just regurgitating what other people are saying. Then I'm not really one to listen, to stuff like that. So like, I don't know anything about 5G towers. I have no idea, but I have been getting a lot of messages. So, and I've been looking for them too. I've been driving around looking like, I don't see nothing around here. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
But I'm not big on like those type of conspiracies. But I do believe that, you know, our health is a right. And I think if we know certain things, like what they put into the chickens to make them so thick, or like, you know, GMOs or the certain seeds that are, you know, manufactured or whatever, like that type of stuff, I feel like, man, we got to be paying attention to this type of stuff, because this is something that we can control. We can control where we put our dollars, what we invest in, and whether or not we're planting foods and stuff like that. But I cannot control how other people react.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of our friends, not a lot of our friends, but a lot of the people in our social group may be on edge because of certain things, you know. And I think a misconception is that we can control the people who we influence or the people in our community. And I think even as a father, and I was telling Yvette this yesterday, is that I think that I can control my children. That is one of the things that I'm like, I can't control very much. I can pretty much control what I do, and I can control what my kids do. For a little bit I can, you know what I'm saying? But I'd rather help them learn how to think and make the right decisions. Yeah, because I can't control. And I think some of us do believe that we can control not only what we do, but what our friends do and what our pastors do and how people vote. And the way we do that is we take our friendships away and we stop communicating with people who we don't agree with. You know what I mean? And so the fact that we are trying to control things that we can't is just, it kind of bothers me that people get so up in arms. So I don't even waste energy on people who are too far on one side. You know, like I don't have long conversations about, you know, the government or people who are right wing or left wing. Like I don't have too many conversations because I'm kind of like, wow, you're that passionate about something that is way out of your control. Like that's where you're putting all your energy, like all, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's important to be informed. I think it's important to, you know, vote for things that you can change. But I'm not very big on like getting stressed out about things that I can't, you know, I can't improve. But I'm kind of weird.
Yeah. I thought this was going to make me feel better, but it doesn't.
It makes me feel better. I feel great.
I know you do. You're so chill. It's ridiculous. I guess we can't both be up in arms, though. That would be scary.
Yeah, but what are you really like up in arms about?
It's not that I'm up in arms, but it's just mostly that it's like, what is the next right thing to do? And so in my gut, I feel like the thing I'm like, is like, okay, they just can't go to that school. They won't be getting the vaccinations, and we'll just keep them close, you know?
And then you think about your mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is too, like, you know, that I think there's a lot of things that, you know, knowing you, I don't like, so I'm telling you, like, I can help. And that bothers you because you're a control freak. But why do you trust the school more than you like trust what I could do?
Because I know they are structured. You're not very structured. I love you.
That's fine. Yeah. But I can be structured. That's why I asked you to make a schedule, because I can operate under structure.
Do I need to go close to you guys again, or can you just hear me from here? Because
I mean, I could
tell you what I did. I made a schedule.
You did make a schedule. You made yourself a schedule.
And it was like on the floor in the car. It was on the counter. It was bent up. It has coffee grease on it. And all the things.
It's now on the wall in my office, and I have not been there. I told you to email me. Okay.
No. There's more to this, but whatever. Let's keep going.
Well, I don't know, man.
I love you.
I try to help, man. I swear I do.
He really does. And I already said this. Didn't I say this in the last podcast? How I have issues with control? I said it somewhere.
But it's the thing is, like, who has the most control over you?
Over me? Who has the most control? Me?
Do you?
Is that the right answer?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking. You know what I'm saying? Because like if you're getting fed information, then the people giving you the information has most of the control. So by listening and consuming so much, you're actually having less control because they're actually sending you into a frenzy. So you actually don't have control. So you're saying that you're a control freak, but you have no control because you're only being controlled by what you consume.
This got too deep too fast. I don't know what to do here. I'm stuck. What do you mean? I am in control. But then, so how do I take back control?
You filter what you consume, and you have to.
But I have to consume it, don't I? I feel like I need to know.
You do need to know. But the thing is, it's like when you know something, it has to go through like different like filters. You know what I'm saying? So like, okay, I have this information. Now, what does this make me responsible for? Right? It makes you responsible for the people that are in your community, right? Some of those people, maybe friends, maybe family, but mostly it makes you responsible for your children, your husband, right?
Yeah. That broccoli smells good.
Thanks. I got it in the chicken broth.
Oh, I was like, why does it not smell like broccoli? It smells like chicken or something.
So, right. So it goes through filters. And so what do you do with that information, right? What does that mean? Hey, this is what I feel about this. You know what I mean? But if you start to go into Facebook threads or those type of things, you're going to get frustrated. It's going to make you even more upset because you're not only consuming the information, you're consuming how people are responding to the information, which is drama. You know what I mean? And so you're starting to put people in certain categories, you know?
So I have varying things here. So you're right. I feel like there does need to be, I probably need to develop questions that I ask myself once I get information. Like with the information, I go through a checklist to help bring me back to like a grounding, to be flat-footed, you know? At the same time, how do you decide when it's our responsibility to share the information that we have? How do you decide when it's our responsibility to share it, like to speak? Because I feel like the other like dilemma or tension that I'm experiencing is that we, like a lot of the people who follow us or who engage with our content are African American, Black. And some of them are not as exposed to information or intentional about consuming certain types of information as we may be or may not be, you know? And so the question becomes, when is it also our responsibility to share the knowledge or information?
Okay, so this is going to be very divisive. Okay.
You about to lose followers? Or are you talking to me?
Maybe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Lord.
So what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah. What are you creating for? What is the point? What is your brand?
My brand?
These are questions that people should ask themselves before they start to speak on things like this. Now, am I a scientist? Am I a chemist? Am I a doctor? Have I done the research? Am I a historian? Like, am I a politician? Like, do I know political studies? Do I, like, what are you good at? This is your niche, right? So you have a brand, you have a niche. Your brand, motherhood, God, women's empowerment, family. I don't know. You probably got a whole bunch of other things. You know what I'm saying? Do people come to you to hear about your opinion about things that you have not researched?
In my DMs, yes.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable?
I mean, about things I have not researched. People come to me, ask me, hey, what is your guys' take on vaccinations? Or, hey, like different things.
Yeah, now it's okay to give your opinion, but I always preface to say I would do my own research.
Yes, me too.
Right? Now, when people come, okay, go ahead.
So that was I guess that's mostly my thing, is like, it's not necessarily saying, hey, we have all this information and we know this, that, and the other. It's more so like, when do you prompt people to do that research?
Always. Like, when do you not?
Because this is the first time we've talked about vaccinations.
Not the first time I've talked about it.
Publicly?
Yeah. On Belief in Fatherhood, there's an episode where I go take the kids to the doctor. We go to the aquarium and then we go to the doctor. The reason why I know this is because the transition was I was showing pictures of the aquarium and the doctor's office had like little sea things under there, and it was a really dope transition. And I asked people at the end, do you believe in vaccinations? I don't believe in vaccinations. I don't vaccinate our children, but maybe you do. Let me know in the comment section below.
Oh, I didn't.
You know what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't really matter what people say. It doesn't really matter if they're for and against it. It's about what I want to do with my family, right? Now, do people come, like, I do believe that I am a thought leader and I do have the right to speak on like fatherhood, things, you know what I'm saying? And this is very much in the realm of that. However, I'm not informed enough yet, so I don't feel comfortable giving giving that information. Here's another thing, Planned Parenthood. You know what I'm saying? Like, these, Planned Parenthood does amazing services for women in the community. Some women go get their doctor's appointments and birth control and all that stuff through Planned Parenthood. You know what I'm saying? But they have a history of like wanting to, basically genocide on black children, right? That is a part of history. Now it's like, but am I the one to speak on that? I'm not that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know the woman who started. All I hear is all I read is articles about what she's done and what she believed in. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, that's kind of whack. That is very whack, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm not going to stand on that hill. What I am is escapism. I allow people to escape from their reality.
Got it.
And show them a glimpse into our world, which may not be a part of something that they actually believe is real. Right? But it's real for us.
It's very well said, babe.
Okay. So I'm just letting you know that at some point I do feel like I will be able to speak on this a little bit more after I've done a lot of research. But right now I have to continue to build the brand and remember who I am. I'm having a hard time doing all of this, even creating content. Right? It's very difficult for me to flush out the stuff that we're supposed to be flushing out, and doing it in a way that allows us to inspire, give hope and equipped. Like I'm having a hard time doing that in this season.
Yeah.
So what happens is when people meet Jesus, they want everybody to be a Christian. They want to call out everybody who's doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so you become like overzealous about things.
Yeah.
And then you end up looking kind of goofy because you haven't really been through anything to experience that type stuff. When we had that thing with Uriah in the vaccination, I was like, man, something ain't right and it doesn't feel right and I cannot do this. You know what I mean? Like, I refuse to do this. And my friends, well, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you want to do that? The government doesn't want anything. They don't want to hurt us. They don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like, yeah, but you got to understand, I experienced something and this experience prevents me from doing this again. I can't do that.
Yeah.
If you can, that's cool. I can't. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know, man. I just think, if the science says this and this is what the doctors are saying, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so sorry. Let's just agree to disagree, dog. And that's how the conversations have been with me. I don't want to see you, get kind of tossed around in like I'm passionate about this for the moment, and then you just get beat up because you don't have enough information.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah,
that's what happens. I get information. I'm like, everybody needs this information. And then people come for me and I'm like, I get deflated. So
yeah, it's crazy. Like, all right, so I'm pro-life, right? Now, I don't believe that abortion should be legal. I don't think that's right. I think that we should continue to do what we're doing because I believe that some people don't necessarily know what a blessing a child is. But if you put that image out there and you show people like, yo, this child has made me a better person altogether, they may believe that they don't have to. You know what I'm saying? I got an email from someone one day when I was like on the verge, like I was about to lose my freaking mind, and I was hurt, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can continue to do this, and I can't do this. I got an email from this guy who told me that he was in love with his girlfriend, loved her to death, but he found out she was pregnant, and he told her to get an abortion. He's like, man, I don't want to have no baby. And he said he grew up in the church and he felt wrong about it, but he didn't really know why. But for weeks, like, she was hurt, but she was going to get an abortion because she loved him so much. And then he researched one day, he put it in the computer and was like, what is it like to be a dad, or how to be a dad, or something like that. And one of my videos came up. And so he was like, man, I binged your channel and I watched like 13 episodes in one night, and I decided that I wanted to. Sorry, God.
I'm just trying to.
He's like, man, I want to have, I decided not to get an abortion. Like, and I want to thank you because my daughter's 2 years old, and, same age as Anaya, And so I'm like, man, if that's not like, that is the evidence that I am pro-life, and I don't need to say it or hold a sign up or chant down anyone who wants to have an abortion. Like, that's not my business. Like, my business is to do what I've been called to do. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to stand on opposite sides. If you choose to have an abortion, like, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, but I just feel like, man, like, I can't keep, like, literally, like, I feel like this. Like, I don't want to have any more kids. But I don't believe that I can say that I'm pro-life in my spirit and not like try to adopt a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe that, because if I'm saying this and I'm not willing to open my home to someone else's child, then that is, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a hypocrite. So anyway, that I can't control what everyone else does. If they're going to have abortions, that's okay. You know what I mean? If they're going to do whatever, and like, I'm not judging them and whatever, but what I can do is what I can control. I can control myself. I can control how hard I work, how much money I make, try to anyway, and try to be a difference and adopt a child if we must. So, I don't know.
I love you.
Love you too.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. So, babe, how married are you?
Oh, man. Man, I folded the kids' laundry. Oh, my gosh. I hate folding kids' laundry. I'm so married that I folded the kids' laundry, and I hate doing that.
Babe, I'm not going front. And K-How will tell you, I have her. She's like, I always have her fold their laundry. And she be having the boys down there folding their own laundry. But I have her fold Anaya and Uzi's laundry because it's so small.
It's so small,
annoying.
and it varies.
Yeah.
There's no like one pile. There's always like, because they have so many different types of clothes. Things. I'm just like, what the heck? Like, I'm like, I got head wraps. I got boys' underwear. They're both different sizes because you got to differentiate between whose is what. And you got pants, and you got sweatpants, and you got shirts, and you got jackets.
And pajamas.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, this is whack, man. So anyway, that's how married I am. Babe, how married are you?
I'm so married that I didn't call you into the garage today.
Why?
Babe, you have the fan on top of the freezer, and I needed to get in there. And I was really like, I tried to lift up the fan, but then the fan came out of the base, and then it was just a whole mess. And I was so like, ooh. But I knew you were in here working on your podcast. I mean, your vlog that's supposed to be out today. And I was like, I'm not going to bother him with this and irritate his energy.
Yeah.
So
that would have been very irritating. Thank you.
I suffered through it. And then like the plug is all, so it was just a mess. I almost called Theo, but then I was like, Theo was going to complain. I don't feel like it. And that's just how married we are.